Good evening, everybody. Jonnie K here with Table Talk with We the People of Rhode Island. It's the same show that you see on Monday nights. We the People of Rhode Island free speech TV show. Only this is our roundtable discussion. You can see We the People of Rhode Island free speech TV web show on Fridays at 6:30 on Cox Channel 13 and Verizon Channel 32. Table Talk with We the People of Rhode Island Friday nights at midnight. Good. This is a prime spot, public access spot. Midnight on Cox 18, Verizon 31, and you can see the We the People of Rhode Island free speech TV web show at 8 o'clock on Mondays, Channel 18, Cox, Channel 31, Verizon. We also, after our Monday night TV show, tune in to 990WBOB.com. We are now doing a radio show that goes, it's free speech radio with We the People of Rhode Island. That goes from 9 to 11 on Monday nights. It's a great time. Chris Carnes was here at a guest on the Table Talk. He's been on the show a couple times. So check out our website, WeThePeopleofRI.org, for all this scheduling information. I know it's overwhelming, and I have to sit here and read. I've been doing this for 4 years now. I still have to read the darn card. Anyway, this is Around the Table. This is a Table Talk discussion with We the People of Rhode Island. We're talking genetically modified organisms, genetically modified foods, the S510 Farm Bill. We're at Mission Nutrition, 156 Gansett Ave. We thank Mission Nutrition for having us and letting us do our thing here. This is where you're not going to find genetically modified foods. This is where you're going to find stuff that is good to put in your body. And with that in mind, we have 5 very knowledgeable individuals here. We have Sue Berge to my right. We have Paula Kairnes. We have Paula's husband, Chris Carnes. I'm Jonnie K. This is Joe Procaccini. And this is Matt Thibodeau, who is a local farmer who can offer some great feedback on this topic. So, I'm going to start out with, in my research for this show and the radio show, the genetically modified foods. Already, the United States, it is a $130 billion annual profit on genetically modified foods. There's over 56 million acres being planted in the United States with genetically modified foods, genetically modified organisms. Chris Carnes will enlighten us on or Joe Procaccini will enlighten us on 4 primary foods that they're using genetically modified organisms in. Corn, soybean. Joe, help me out. Canola
and cottonseed, which they use to make cottonseed oil.
Okay. So, $130 billion annual profits on this type of food that's really bad for you. And I would like to introduce our guest, which I already did. We'll start with Joe Procaccini. What do you want to open up the discussion with?
Well, like we've all been saying, genetically modified foods are potentially they are dangerous, and people should avoid eating them. But because of the bureaucracy that's set up in Washington, D.C., a lot of these have gotten on the market, and it's only been relatively recently that people have been finding out about it. If you do some homework on the people who've worked at Monsanto and people in very high positions at the FDA and the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, you'll find that a lot of those people who worked in those government agencies were former employees of Monsanto, and they've actually gone back and forth. So right there, there's a conflict of interest. So unfortunately, even though the USDA and the FDA and the EPA as well are supposedly there to protect us, while that might be true to a very small degree, for the most part, I believe it's not true, and I believe that you need to do your own homework and don't just go by what any of those agencies tell you. Because there have been a lot of independent studies done on genetically modified organisms and how they've affected people, and they're really not good to eat, and you should try to be aware of which foods have GMOs in them and avoid eating them. What's good is that if enough people become aware of this and just don't buy them, then that right there could cause it to stop altogether, because nobody's going to buy them. They're not going to produce them, but people are buying them. But most people buy them because they don't even know that the GMOs are in there. A lot of people don't even know what GMOs are. So it's important to educate yourself as much and try to educate other people on this issue. So
if you're watching this show, Pat, and you're just learning about genetically modified organisms or foods, pass this on to somebody that you think might want to hear something about this. I like what Joe just said. Go ahead, Paula. What do you got to say? You're on.
As a consumer and a mom, I do buy a lot of things at the farmer's market. Is it working? Yep. But I find that I also go to like Dave's Market, and a lot of their organic things aren't being, you can't buy them there because not enough people are buying it. So you actually have to request at your local markets, I want the organic bananas and I want the organic oranges, and they will carry this stuff because, I mean, I do go to the farmers markets, but I can't get everything I need there. So I think that's also helpful for your average consumer, and also try to eat a lot of non-processed foods, because that's where your worries lie.
Yes.
So the more processed, probably the more things it has in it, in the foods.
Right, and it's probably cheaper for the supermarkets to buy it that way. And
and you even have to watch things like eggs and milk and even your simple products. Can you hear me? Oh, I'm sorry. Because I've actually found eggs at Dave's that the chickens are eating genetically modified foods. So that must come out into the eggs.
Absolutely. And then with the genetically modified corn, if this corn is producing its own pesticide, then that means once the consumer starts to eat this corn, they're eating pesticides.
Oh, yes, it does make its own pesticides, these genetically modified ones. And that's to kill the bugs, living organisms. Well, what happens when you eat it? It doesn't necessarily kill you, outright anyways, but it does sterilize men, women, everybody. Well, at the very least, it has the potential to.
And people that have a bad immune system or are immune deficient, or
that's also from lack of nutrients. That's most of what that comes from. Also, things like sunscreen. Like they tell cancer patients that don't go in the sun, at least without sunscreen, which is absolutely completely counterproductive. You want as much sunlight as possible for anybody, and those with darker skin tones actually need more, because that I'm not a scientist. I don't know the specifics of it, but it produces vitamin D, which that kicks your immune system. It kickstarts it.
But you're not overexposure to the sun, but as much as you need.
Yes. And actually, if you're, this is actually the term redneck came from, is because when the white settlers came to America originally, they didn't know how to work the soil or something like that, or something. One way or another, they weren't getting the correct nutrients, so they would get sunburns, and the indigenous population, as we call Indians,
we call them rednecks because they would get sunburned. That's where that came from. So if you have the correct nutrients that your body needs, you won't get sunburned.
That's a good point.
What do you got to say, Chris? Oh, I'm sorry, Sue's over there.
I just want
Don't even worry about it.
I just want to follow up briefly on this vitamin D, because we're in the swine flu season now, and there's a big push on to get everybody to take their shots. Now, some people may need those shots, but there's a natural antidote to flu. There's a way to prevent getting the flu. Why is this flu season? Because the days are short. It's dark. We're not getting enough vitamin D. So at this time of the year, get some healthy vitamin D supplements, and then you don't have to worry about getting the flu, and you certainly don't have to get a flu shot.
Very good. That's excellent, Sue, because that goes into what you were saying earlier on the Free Speech TV show, as far as everything's seasonal and the crops being seasonal. And imagine that the flu season is seasonal, and you can thwart that by simply taking more vitamin D. I didn't know that. Again, educated by our excellent guest. So Joe Procaccini's got something to say.
In regards to supplements, yeah, I agree. We definitely need vitamin D. And also, there are a lot of other nutrients, too, that come in supplements that can help your immune system and can help your health in many ways. There's one supplement that I recommend. It's by a company called Nature's Way, and it's called Alive. And the two common ways they have it are in powder format for making shakes, and the other way is in pill format. It's got all non-GMO ingredients. It's all plant-based. It's vegan. So if you're a vegan, you can have it. And it has many vitamins and minerals put in it, and it has fruits and vegetables that have been freeze-dried and then powdered and put into the supplement, and it's extremely nutritious. It's a little expensive, but it's an excellent supplement. I've been taking it for about 5 years now, and I've noticed a big difference in how I feel. So I recommend that you can pick it up at any health food store, and even a lot of the regular supermarkets. I think they may carry it too, and you can order it online as well. So that's one particular recommendation that I have. Again, that's Nature's Way Live.
All right, folks. We have Matt Thibodeau, we have Joe Procaccini, we have Sue Berge, we have Paula Kairnes, we have Chris Kahns. I'm Jonnie K. We'll be back after these messages. We'll get this audio squared away, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thanks to the current bailout, trillion is the new billion. When you look at it, it doesn't seem all that big, but it's a huge number. What's the economic impact of $1 trillion? Imagine this. For $1 trillion, you can buy a $3 latte every day for 900 million years. $1 trillion is greater than the Australian GDP. It's enough to buy up every stock on the Toronto Stock Exchange. With $1 trillion, you can fund the militaries of all the NATO countries combined. Or you can pay for all American military action since 9/11. It's twice the cost of the New Deal, 10 times the cost of the Marshall Plan. It can cover every rent check in the U.S. for 3 years, buy every home that foreclosed in 2007 and 2008, send the U.S. on an 11-week vacation, or run the entire federal government for over 3 months. $1 trillion can go a long way. The amazing thing is, $1 trillion is only 1/10 of the current bailout.
How's it going? Welcome back. Jonnie K here. During the break, we were just talking about different things that have the genetically modified organisms. And Paula Kairnes, she brought up to all you makeup users that are out there. Not me. I probably should use this more than the ladies should. But no. Paula, tell us about what we were talking about during break.
Well, I was saying it's almost like you have to go back to simpler times, the way you eat, the way you do your hair, the makeup you use, because a lot of the makeup, a lot of the suntan lotion, I mean, think of all the new products that are on the market for one person to use. Not only are you getting GMOs, but you're getting titanium dioxide compounded. You know, I actually emailed Burt's Bees company about their titanium dioxide that started appearing in their products, and she emailed me and said that it's not a problem. It's a problem when your lipstick has it, then your blush has the GMO. I mean, your skin absorbs everything. So as a mom, I have to be very diligent. What foods are my family eating? You know, what colognes are we using? It's like you have to go back to simpler times.
That's like the double whammy. We're talking about genetically modified foods. We're not even talking about the other products. Shampoo. You know, I mean, think about it. Underarm deodorant has aluminum, titanium dioxide, perfumes. That's going right.
Sunscreen as well. It's mostly aluminum based.
And aluminum has been implicated in the outbreak of Alzheimer's disease, the increase in the amount of Alzheimer's disease.
Metals, yes.
Yep.
That's also what they use in a lot of the shots, the flu shots. They use aluminum to bump up the the strength of the shot. It used to be the biggest problem that people had with the shots previous to that was that the thimerosal was in there. Well, now they've reduced the amount of thimerosal, but then they bumped up the amount of aluminum, so it's a catch-22. Take the shots. I don't know what to say. You're going to end up getting it either way.
And thimerosal is mercury-based, is it not?
Yes.
Yes, and there is no safe level of mercury. A grain of rice-sized piece of mercury is enough to contaminate a 20-acre lake.
Wow.
Yep.
They used to make the thermostats in your house. Used to have the mercury bubble that would that would set the thermostat off to kick in your furnace and such.
Yes. And those fancy new swirly light bulbs they have nowadays.
Yeah.
One, they release a frequency that it raises your blood pressure, I believe it is, and they also have mercury in them. And as I said, there's no safe level of mercury.
Are you saying that those new incandescent light bulbs, the curly fry looking light bulbs,
yeah, those things,
they have mercury in them?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
It says right on the box. It says contains X amount of mercury or low mercury. Either way,
And
it's
so to
toxic.
save the environment, they want us all to use light bulbs with mercury on them.
So
Go figure.
despicable.
And they give.
But you know what it is? It's the people with their heads in the sand, and they're all like, "Well, they're saying this is great stuff. We gotta.
saving the
I
earth."
want 10 of them."
I'll say
Yeah.
head somewhere else.
The manufacturers, you have Philips and you have GE, are the two major manufacturers of light bulbs. I mean, you gotta follow the money again. I mean, these are the same people that are promoting the green agenda.
That's right.
GE has, they have their special football cast turning off all the lights in the studio, and at the same time, they're the ones that are producing these light bulbs that are actually potentially dangerous to us. Well, they are dangerous to us.
Well, as a side note, GE originally manufactured the machine that counted the Jews in the camp, concentration
No, it's
camp.
IBM.
I was IBM.
Was it IBM? I thought it was GE.
It was IBM.
Oh, you caught me. But Monsanto was the one that manufactured the chemical that.
IG Farben, yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the Agent Orange. It was. Is Paula talking about the Agent Orange, the defoliant that they used in Vietnam?
I don't know if it's connected. It very well could.
But
I
it was
wouldn't doubt
also
it.
in the concentration camps.
Yeah, you're talking about the aluminum,
Yes.
the sodium. Excuse me. The sodium fluoride is what you're talking about.
Yes, sodium fluoride. And where have we heard that before?
Okay, now what did they use the sodium fluoride in the? That was the use. That was an exterminant.
Well, not only did they put it in the water,
It wasn't an experiment.
they put it in the water to dumb them down.
So they wouldn't even think of escaping. Never mind, actually escaping.
Right.
I see.
That was
Well-
the first instance of fluoridated water that's in recorded history.
Well, I just read that book, The World According to Monsanto, which is at the library. And they said they did have, when they used to be the chemical company before the Agent Orange, they did have something to do with the chemical in the gas chambers.
Yes,
Manufacture
it's
with it.
Zyklon B.
Oh, that's what it was. I couldn't think of what it was. So, thanks. So, this is the history of these companies that profess that we're going to feed the world and we're going to make better food for us.
Yes.
It's pretty scary.
And while we're on the topic of Nazi Germany, I would like to bring up a book called Wall Street and...
The Rise of Hitler?
Yes, that's the exact book. Where's it going with that? Yes, there were two plans from the United States government that sent funds. One was called the Dawes Plan. I don't remember the name of the second one. And we sent funds to 1920s Germany, because after the First World War in the 1910s, Germany was decimated. They were a pile of rubble. And then somehow in a decade, they went from a pile of rubble to a world superpower. Or I don't say superpower, but they were a considerable world power. How did that happen? Wall Street. Ain't that something?
And people, we talk to a lot of people with what we do as far as the New World Order and all the things that come with that. And I think along these lines of genetically modified foods and the S510 Farm Bill is we talk to a lot of people who talk about population control. And this is what raises questions to me is, in addition to the corporate involvement with the GMOs and the spiritual involvement with GMOs and the political involvement with the GMOs and, you know, the food source globally, it sounds suspicious to me that, you know, these are people who are messing with nature. You know, let's put it frankly. But you know, from what they're telling us, it's, you know, we're doing this, you know, for your own good.
Oh, that's what they always tell you.
And I just
Going to Auschwitz for your own good.
I think it is.
Yeah. And the worst part is they believed it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that they're going along. They're not informed, and this population control, I kind of, you know, smirk at. I think it's, you know, I say to myself, what are we talking about here? The government's not going to kill off, you know, a third of the population. And if they do that, it's not going to.
Honestly,
Can somebody
After
tell
you
us?
read Rummel's book, it's not hard to believe anymore.
Why have we not yet gone into Darfur and helped with that? I mean, if governments don't kill their own people, and if we're supposed to be the saviors of the world in democracies and everything, why have we not gone in there and helped them?
Oh, because we're busy everywhere else in the world.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we got,
like,
and I don't think
they probably have no resources. It's the only reason we haven't gone in there. And Afghanistan just so happens to have huge sources of lithium and titanium, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
excellent heroin too. I mean,
yeah.
Really?
Well, think of it. Since we went into Afghanistan in Desert Storm, that was 1990, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, the time I was born. The opium production has gone up 12-fold. 1,200% has gone up, the opium production. And 90% of the world's opium comes from Afghanistan. And of course, now the CIA has giant loads of it that they crash their planes with coming into the country. Then they just cover it up, and no one ever hears about it. But of course, marijuana is a huge
That's one of the reasons why
they're shipping in the heroin.
Well, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why the war is still waging in Afghanistan. There's lots of financial, like Chris Kahn says, financial. All right, we're going to go to break right now. We'll be back after these messages. Of course, Paula's going to bring something up, and we're going to come back and go, hey,
Yes,
check
I
this
will.
out. Anyway, we'll be back after this.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Are You Unemployed? Here's your host, the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Hello, jobless Americans. The unemployment figures have been released, so it's time to see if you're officially unemployed. Let's meet our contestants. Contestant number 1, you were recently laid off. Have you found a new job?
No way. No one's hiring right now. I haven't even bothered to look.
I'm sorry. You are not in the labor market and therefore are not officially unemployed. Contestant number 2, it says here you lost your job as an auto worker. Have you found a new one?
No, not yet. The industry isn't doing so well. I need a job, but I stopped looking because the plant's closed down.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not working, but you are not officially unemployed either. Contestant number 3, you were an airline pilot until a recent downsizing. Have you found work?
Well, I'm still looking for a real job. All I could get was 4 hours a week at the home center.
Oh no! That 4 hours counts as employed. Contestant number 4, you lost your job as a stockbroker. Have you found another?
No, I haven't yet. But I did look in the classifieds last week.
Congratulations, contestant number 4! You get to be counted in the official unemployment rate.
But what about the other contestants? They're jobless. Why don't they count?
Well, if we included them, that would make the number much worse. But we can't go around including millions more jobless Americans. It could start a panic and we'd be totally screwed.
This program has been canceled due to the recession.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that cartoon that the producer, the chef, as we call him on the radio, played for you. This is Table Talk with We the People of Rhode Island. We've lost Joe. We've replaced Joe's seat with Sue. I'm gonna turn it over to Chris Cairnes, sitting over here on my right. He feels that there's something here that needs to be read and people need to understand. So pay attention to what this guy's going to say.
Out of the Constitution, we have Article 1, Section 8. All right, it's the last two paragraphs. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square, as may by cession of particular states and acceptance of Congress become the seat of government of the United States. To exercise like authority over the places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and all other needful buildings, and to make laws, all laws, which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all the other powers vested in the Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department of or officer thereof. What I'm reading that for is basically, unless they've actually purchased your land, they really don't have any authority over your land. Okay? If they don't have standing on your land in the contract, they should have no power or authority over your land to make any laws. So what I'm getting at is the seat of power, that 10 by 10 square mile plot of land, is the District of Columbia. Originally that was their authority to make laws that took care of that and took care of our borders. They were supposed to protect us. All right, their authority was not to exceed that unless the states gave them the right to do so for forts and whatnot. So on the forts they have right to legislate over, but not over our private property. That's why I brought that up.
So it starts out as a 10 by 10 piece of land, which you just informed us is Washington, D.C.
Correct.
And that power was not supposed to overflow that 10 by 10.
No.
But as you can, I mean, as we can all tell, that power is globally reaching right now. And I mean, that's the Constitution, people, that Chris just read. And our own federal government has already superseded, what was that, Article 10?
Article 1, Section 8, and it's the last two paragraphs. What I'm getting at, though, is this bill, this S510, is trying to tell us that they have authority over our product of our land, which they do not. It says so right in the Constitution, okay? Unless you're signing a contract for them, say, yeah, I need you to come in onto my land and make sure that I'm doing things the way you want me to do. Who would do that? So I'm just, it says it right there.
I'm sure
they're breaking the Constitution on a daily basis. The fact that there isn't a bigger outcry against these people for what they're doing it's amazing to me.
Well, after they brought in the new Congress and such, I thought it was a great move. One of the politicians decided to call a session, and they read the actual Constitution, which I thought was a great place to start. I don't know where that goes. Maybe they read it so they could find out what else they could beat the hell out of in it. But maybe they read it to, maybe it is. I mean, give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it is a way to bring to the forefront the Constitution and how jaded it's become.
Unfortunately, all the members of Congress did not have to sit there and listen to it. That which I find funny. I mean, here they are doing this great thing. Oh, we're going to read the Constitution. This is going to be the Congress for all our Congresses. But yet, as soon as they were done reading, they got to take off. They didn't listen to the rest of it. Right. Not that they, can't read it for themselves, but I mean, as a matter of symbolism, if they're going to do that, they should have all sat there and listened to the entire thing all at once, all together, so they all can look at each other. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you got it. I got it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And as far as this S510 bill, I'm looking at the paperwork right here in the Senate. This bill was, let me see where I was at here. This bill was passed and signed into law by Obama on November 30th, 2010.
Nope, that's incorrect.
Result: bill passed. Oh, passed the Senate. I'm sorry.
The Senate.
Passed the Senate November 30th, 2010. the roll call in the Senate for that for this vote was 257 people. You know,
Nope.
senators were there.
I'm sorry. I have to
That's
keep
okay.
interrupting you because the Senate's only 100 senators. So
No, why would this say the roll call number is 257 in the Senate?
that's very strange. I'm sorry. I don't
Okay,
know
you're
that.
saying no. Go ahead with the Senate. Oh,
Well, there's only 100 senators.
That's right.
100 Senate. Okay.
So I don't understand where that.
Well,
That's gotta
in
be
the
out.
pie chart, I stand corrected in the pie chart. This must be a typo. 73 votes were yes, 25 votes were no, and 2 people abstained from it. So that was a 73% yes vote for this farm bill. And there's all different segments of it. It's not just the S510 farm bill. There's the S10, the S510-459. There's the S510-170. There's the S510-1069, and on and on and on. And certain senators and certain Congress people support the S510-459, but they don't support the S510-1069. Whatever. It's all convoluted crap, and they put this stuff out there, and these people don't even know what the heck they're thinking. But all in all, what we've discussed here today at Mission Nutrition is I learned a lot. So what do you have to add?
We don't have to pay too much attention to what goes on in Washington. We can all start our little organic garden in our backyard. Nice. We can all read and study and understand nutrition and what we need to put in our bodies to stay healthy, and let those crazy people in Washington drive off a cliff if they want to. They don't have any authority over us by law, and we should stop behaving as if they do.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
That's why I read that. Yes,
Very
correct.
good.
Indeed.
So there, read your Constitution, understand the Constitution, start reading up on common law versus admiralty law, because this is
Huge.
admiralty law is what they use against us. Okay, admiralty law is the law of the sea. We're supposed to be a nation of the law of the land. The law of the land is the Constitution. Okay, and yeah, Matt.
Well, admiralty law versus common law is probably my most research subject. I love getting into it, although as much as I hate it. But you're talking about the Constitution, why they can make all these laws to tell us to do this, that, and the other. It's through abusing the Commerce Clause. Because when you deal in Federal Reserve notes, it is a product. It is a product of a foreign corporation. So, as in outside of the United States. So when you transact. When you enter into any transaction using Federal Reserve notes, you are participating in foreign commerce. So that's how they can exploit you. That's where Admiralty Maritime Law comes into the picture, is because you are dealing in Federal Reserve notes. Because you have to go through a foreign corporation to do any business here. So that's how they can control that. It's another name for Admiralty Maritime Law is statutory law. It's the difference between lawful and legal. There's a world of difference between those two words. That's if you'd like to listen to someone who's a little more what's the word I'm looking for? More well spoken on this would be Jordan Maxwell. Very, very interesting fella, and he's kind of like me. He's a journalist. He pulls from here, there, all over the place. And you were talking about the District of Columbia. A few little factoids I'd like to throw out. You have District of Columbia, then on the west side of it you have Virginia, and then on the other side you have Maryland, Virgin Mary. Nestled in between is Washington, D.C. Interesting, right?
That is an interesting factoid.
Oh, yeah. And also Columbia goes back to Britannia in Britain. It goes back to Aphrodite of the Greeks, Venus of the Romans, and it goes back to Isis of the Egyptians, Ishtar of the Babylonians, and it goes all the way back to Inanna of the Sumerians, who invented writing, the wheel, pretty much everything short of the cable television. And Zechariah Sitchin has some very interesting books regarding the Sumerians.
That's excellent. So you're saying Columbia, it goes all the way back as far as the District of Columbia?
It goes back to the beginning of written history, yes. Because when I hear one thing, you say District of Columbia, my mind starts racing. I pull from here, there, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of rabbit holes.
Oh yes, the rabbit hole goes incredibly deep.
Yep.
Folks, I love this conversation. I could sit here for hours and talk to these people. Obviously, we're not going to get through everything, but we're going to take a short break right now. I don't know what Brian has in store for you, but I'm sure you're going to like it. We'll be back after these messages. One more segment, and we'll wrap it up here at Mission Nutrition.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
Hi folks, this is Jonnie K. We're back with Around the Table with We the People of Rhode Island. Our good friend Sue on a past episode had touched on the issue of fluoride in the water. And it seems that, you know, as long ago as she talked about this, it just happened to come to into the media, into the news today or yesterday. So Sue, why don't you tell us what you saw, show the article to everybody, and listen up.
This is the article that was in the Providence Journal, I believe, this morning or yesterday morning. Very recent. It says.
What was the date? The 8th.
Either today the 8th or yesterday the 7th. It says U.S. to lower guideline for fluoridation. They're finally beginning to figure out what many of us have known for many years, which is that fluoride is a neurotoxin. It destroys your brain. And after decades of putting fluoride in municipal water supplies, children are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. It also causes all kinds of problems. There are toxic effects on the heart, on the liver, on the kidneys. Fluoride causes hyperactivity. This is why there's so many children now being put on Ritalin. I read recently that 25% of all children and teenagers in America are on some pharmaceutical that's been prescribed by a doctor. It causes the earlier onset of puberty. We're seeing more and more of that with youngsters who are starting to go into puberty well before they should. One of the contributing factors is fluoride. It produces, your pineal gland produces melatonin. It interrupts that process, leading to sleep disturbances. There's a lot of insomnia going on in America today where people can't sleep. This causes cancer, it causes gene mutations, it feeds cancerous growths. I mean,
Attacks the liver.
Attacks the liver. Fluoride should have never been put in the water supply to begin with. And it's a little bit encouraging that at least they're saying we're going to put a little less of it in than we were before, because finally the disastrous effects of fluoride are being recognized.
A side note, as a consumer, I found 3 toothpaste that have no fluoride, and you can get them at CVS or Stop and Shop. You just got to look at the box. And you can call your local town's water and find out, like, our town doesn't have fluoride in the water. So other than that, you can get filters in your house. And you really will see a difference.
Right. Oh, could I just add one more thing about the fluoride? Tom's toothpaste is one of the best fluoride-free toothpaste you can get. Also, if you have your children checked regularly by a dentist every 6 months or every year, you know, they clean your teeth. You can request non-fluoride treatments.
Oh, wow.
You just tell your dentist, I don't want my children getting fluoride. Your dentist will think you're out of your mind, but he will do what you tell him to do because you're paying him and he works for you.
I have a question. I was raised with these TV commercials, Crest, with fluoride. What was initially? What was the benefit, in the dental community on using fluoride? What was the smoke screen they were throwing? I don't. Does it make your enamel in your teeth harder? I know it makes your brain harder because And on our final thoughts, I'm going to touch on this, but go ahead, Chris.
Well, the thing is, there's two types of fluoride that we're talking about here. We're talking about calcium fluoride versus sodium fluoride. The calcium fluoride is already in all our water anyways. It's a natural fluoride. The sodium fluoride...
That's actually good for you.
And that's what's good for your teeth. The sodium fluoride is not, okay? That's a byproduct of an aluminum. It's an aluminum
and
byproduct
production.
and plutonium, okay? So I think over the years, the more research that's been done about it, I think that's why we're seeing these articles today, is because they're finally coming around to understanding that there's a difference between the calcium fluoride and the sodium fluoride.
Matt, you were going to say something?
I was actually going to say what he was going to say. And it's not from plutonium and aluminum, it's from the production of those.
Yes.
Yes, I'd be clear. She was saying about the, Sue here was talking about the pineal gland, and what it does is it calcifies it, which essentially turns into a rock. And as it produces melatonin, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so it does that, and it's also the spiritual gland, I would say. So when it calcifies, it kind of destroys that ability, that spiritual connection to the universe. And this war that's being waged against humanity isn't just a physical war, a chemical war, a economic war. It is, in my opinion, primarily a spiritual war, I would say.
A good thing to look up, I told you I study science and physics. Well, in our bodies, this is a little side note, we have 64 DNA markers and only 20 are open. And you were talking about love before? Yes. Well, love is a wave. It's the highest concentrated wave you can get. It opens your DNA markers. So, like, if you're eating good, you're happy, you're going to be, I guess, more of your DNA is going to open, you're going to be healthier. They've actually proved it. But if you have the lower fear, you don't feel good, the wave is bigger and goes past those DNA markers.
Yeah, it's a denser vibration.
Right, and it goes along with, like, Fibonacci's numbers in nature.
Yeah. What's it called? The
golden means?
Yeah, it's the golden ratio of the Fibonacci sequence.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that.
I wrote it. Yeah.
That's a subject on its own, really.
Yeah, that's another.
All these really are. I could spend for hours on all of these. But here, have you ever seen? It's kind of broccoli. It's kind of like got spires. Yes. You can kind of see a swirl in it.
Yes.
That's the Fibonacci sequence.
Also a sunflower.
It's when you take.
Look up Leonardo.
I'm not going to get
Fibonacci.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
very interesting.
Is this positive or a negative thing?
It's very positive.
It's very positive.
It's about the structure of the universe.
Yeah, it's all connected. With your food, if you're eating good food, and then you're happier, so you give out a better vibration.
Mm-hmm. So I agree with that.
On the subject of vibrations, we talk about pollution, smog, light pollution, but there is also frequency pollution, which is emitted from radio towers. Cell phones are a big one. They're a very big one. And in the past years, we've seen a very large increase of cancer. And that is essentially from the mutation of cells. And the radiation, it's like gamma rays. You can understand that mutations happen from, say, like atomic bombs and whatnot. But there's lower doses in cell phones and the like, but we're constantly being exposed to it. It's like smoking a cigarette. You smoke a cigarette once, you don't get cancer or anything bad from it, but if you continually do it, it'll eventually could manifest in cancer or a variety of things.
Well, if I may, there's if in an atomic explosion you have the three different waves that you're talking about. You're talking about the X-rays, which is basically the top of the plume. Then it expands out into the gamma waves, which is the most lethal. You never get really touched by the by the original X-rays. But all right, then it goes into gamma waves. That's what basically decimates everything within a couple of miles of the explosion. And then afterwards, it's microwaves. It breaks down. It's all on frequencies again. And when we live at a certain frequency, we live from 6 to 8 megahertz is what we all vibrate on, or what because we are electric. We're basically giant walking batteries.
Electricity and water.
Okay,
Yep.
so when we expose ourselves to the radiation, the microwaves, gamma waves and whatnot, what that does is it raises that frequency up, and we're exposed to that, and that's why we have people go insane. Once it gets past a certain point, I think it's past 10.52 megahertz, people become very irritable. That's when you start seeing people fighting for no reason and whatnot. So, interesting stuff to look
Our
into.
music is based in a whole different vibration than olden times too.
So it has an effect. It has a mental effect because
not
of
a good one.
Right, and it's not the lyrics. It's not the lyrics that are making people kill.
It's the music given the vibration. So this is really a whole nother show.
Right.
It really is.
It really is.
I want to go off on a huge tangent
Me
about
too.
this. I would like to expand on something Sue said earlier about children going into puberty like age 7 and stuff. You said it was linked to sodium fluoride. I personally haven't seen that connection, although I don't doubt it. But the plastics we use today, a lot of them leach a estrogen mimicking hormone into whatever it carries, and it's sped up when it's warmer, and of course not as much when it's cooler. But nowadays you look around and all the actually let's go back 20 years. Look at a yearbook or something from say your senior year. All the men had, well, a vast majority of them had full beards, full facial hair. They had broad shoulders. They were a lot taller. They were bigger. They weren't like all lanky and effeminate like they are today. I'm serious because I've noticed that from my sister's yearbook, she graduated in 2002, to mine in 2008. Then my brother's, she's 4 years after me. So it's really gone downhill.
Well, I have a different perspective on that, Matt. When I graduated, I was born in 1965. We graduated in 1983. And from my perspective, when my yearbook picture, nobody had, 1 or 2 guys might have had a mustache, and those were the guys that got all the chicks and stuff, And if just from those, from 1980 to the change, according to you, what you're saying, men with full facial beards in your senior yearbook, that's changed. In my senior yearbook, there wasn't much facial hair.
Really?
Really. It was, you had your few guys that had mustaches,
I've had this since I was 12.
And those were the guys.
Believe it.
And those were the guys that you would go. Those were the guys.
So she's correct then.
Right. The guys with the mustaches and the facial hair would be the guys that you went to go to the liquor store to get you to buy stuff.
Well, maybe even not the facial hair, but you can really just in their build, because nowadays kids are kind of tall, like really skinny, lanky, not really too muscular.
But my point is, if that's the case, that has accelerated in the last 10 years because I didn't.
It sure has.
Well,
we're being poisoned from every angle.
Yeah, I work with kids and I see it every day. The kids that are on Ritalin, they are smaller. They can't pay attention as much.
Well, Ritalin is known to stunt your growth.
Well, isn't that like a heavy-duty psychotropic? They've only studied it on adults, I do believe. It's horrible. I've had a few parents I've gone in debates about, and then they walk away from me. But I try.
All right, we're going to go into the final thoughts right now. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks to Sue. Thanks to Matt. Thanks to Paula. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Joe, who's left us. Thanks to everybody who showed up. This was awesome. We're looking forward to seeing you guys. We're going to do more of this. And we have to do more of this. It's necessary. This was awesome. We'll start out with the final thoughts. I know what my final thoughts are going to be, but I'll be the gentleman and go last. Sue, after you.
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to bring up that we talked about a little bit during a break. Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex decades ago. I think today there is an agricultural pharmaceutical complex. Our food is being compromised, it's being bastardized, it's being drained of nutritional value. That is leading to chronic illnesses, which is then feeding the demand for the pharmaceuticals that drug companies produce. If the American people want to stay healthy, they have to withdraw their consent from the agricultural pharmaceutical complex. They need to start taking care of themselves, eating healthy, nutritious foods, and then they don't have to worry about cancer or arthritis or heart disease or diabetes or any of these long-term chronic illnesses that allopathic medicine tells us we have to have all their pharmaceuticals for. It's totally unnecessary. One of the other things that is added to foods that we didn't touch on yet that I just want to touch on briefly is MSG, monosodium glutamate. It causes obesity, it kills brain cells, it's been implicated in asthma, behavioral problems, headache, depression, tiredness, Alzheimer's. And guess what? The pharmaceutical companies have drugs for all of those conditions. And most of those drugs come with side effects that will require other drugs. So buyer beware. Eat good food, healthy food, nutritious food, and you can get yourself out of that whole mess of being sick, being tired, and needing pharmaceuticals to live your life.
Thank you, Sue. Very good. Pay attention, people. Inform, educate. That's what we do here. I know thanks to these people, I'm getting informed and educated, and I love it. Matt, what do you have to say?
Well, it's always been said that knowledge is power, and I spend quite a lot of my time researching things. Internet's absolutely wonderful invention, although we might not have it for very much longer as we know it today. So I'd like to plug a bunch of people, books, maybe videos that I know of that I would hope you'd find very interesting and informative. I'm going to start with Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Infowars.net. I prefer .net, I like the format. If you don't know him, you're probably not paying attention. He is the spearhead of this info war that we're in today. Jordan Maxwell, as I mentioned before, he's esoteric knowledge, religions, ancient history, stuff like that. JordanMaxwell.com, very interesting site. David Icke, he's an English gentleman. He talks about the energetic reality that we live in. It's like a giant energetic soup that we can see on the visible light spectrum, the sound spectrum. Then there's so many more vibrations out there that we can't see. It's kind of the same stuff Jordan Maxwell gets into. Manly Palmer Hall, he is a man that's no longer with us. He was born 1901, died in 1990. Very interesting fellow. Jordan Maxwell personally knew him. He learned quite a lot from this man. I said Zechariah Sitchin, very interesting with ancient history. Alan Watt, he is a very interesting fellow, very affluent speaker. He's on Alex Jones all the time. He talks about how we're being attacked through the media and stuff like that. He's on Alex Jones a lot. Alan Watts with an S, same name with an S. He's a Western Buddhist. I personally find it very interesting. It's very interesting stuff. Books, Zechariah Sitchin, his series, The Earth Chronicles, very interesting. The Bible, of course. The Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Torah, the Quran, the Kabbalah. All these books have very they have primal truths to them. It's the same reality as it was thousands of years ago when these were written. All religions, I believe, have grains of truth in them. They are worth looking into, researching. What else do we have? That's a very good list, I would say.
That'll take somebody a year to get through.
Oh, thanks a lot, Matt. Trust me. Thanks a lot, Matt. But just absorb it, people. Listen to what you just throw out lots of names, lots of places you can get some good, pertinent information.
Actually,
it's not propaganda.
One more book I just found that is very easy to read, very short. This has to do with the Admiralty Law versus Common Law. This is an incredibly important book. It is. It's by Ronald McDonald, and who is the other author?
Can't remember.
I don't remember, but the main author was Ronald McDonald. is called They Own It All, Including You, by Means of Toxic Currency. It has to do with the Federal Reserve notes like I was talking about before. Very, very informative. If you read anything that I've said, that's it.
All right, Matt, thanks a lot. Paula, last final thoughts.
Well, if you're a busy mom like me, who just goes, I found that by simplifying our meals, shopping locally, staying away from the places that are bad, and getting the non-GMO guide really helps out, and it's not as hard as you think if you just simplify. So good eating. Oh, there's the GMO guide. See?
We have numerous of those. Sue brought us some. Sue carries some. If you can't find one, you need one, come and see us at our next event. Email me. I'll send you one in the mail. Whatever. Chris, what you got to say?
Read the Constitution. Read the legislation that's being passed before us. If you don't start paying attention and learning what they're doing, we're not going to be able to keep our freedoms. That's about it. Everybody else already suggested everything I would like to read.
Yeah.
So.
and of course,
thanks,
buy
Chris.
local. As local as possible.
Buy local.
Know your farmer.
Yep, know your farmer.
That's good. I mean, I eat a lot of Del Monte. I never met Mr. Del Monte. I'm going to start buying Mr. Thibodeau food now. Again, informing and educating. I love this stuff. And my final thoughts are on fluoride and what Sue was saying. Me and my fiance talk about this all the time, about how it seems kids are growing up faster. They're reaching puberty faster. They're parenting children faster. They're, excuses of ADD and ADHD and my kid doesn't pay attention and can't pay attention in class. His schoolwork's being affected, and I just think all these things that me and my fiance talk about in the living room were just brought to the surface here today. And little did I know that fluoride had so much to do with it. And as I was saying during one of the breaks, fluoride, when I was a kid, Crest with fluoride, it's great, fluoride's a great thing. Until recently, I found out fluoride isn't such a great thing. I didn't realize how bad it was, but again, these are things that we talk about, I know me and my family talk about on a monthly, weekly, daily basis, and can you imagine that all these issues and problems are caused by fluoride? So that's my final thought. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the panelists for being here. Matt, Sue, Paula, Chris, again. Everybody who's sitting behind Brian that you can't see. A very special thanks to Mission Nutrition on 156 Gansett Ave. I recommend everybody come down here. You're going to find none of the bad stuff we were talking about in this facility. Great stuff. Again, 156 Gansett Ave, Cranston, Mission Nutrition. Come in, talk to Mike, talk to Andrew. They'll help you out with your nutritional knowledge and information. Whatever ails you, whatever you think you're looking for, a little something to give you a boost here or a boost there, talk to Mike and Andrew Philippi here at Mission Nutrition. They'll help you out. So thanks a lot, and tune in next time. Catch us on the radio Monday night. 990wbob.com, 9 to 11. Thanks, people.
Bye. Thanks.
This concludes this program broadcast. We the People, a freedom of speech television show. Go to www.wethepeopleofri.org.